Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the main hall. I know you're all eager for this really incredible spotlight interview. I'm Jason Concepcion. This is my co-host Mallory Rubin. We co-host a podcast called Binge Mode. Without any further ado, please welcome to the stage Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, Jaime Lannister.
Woo!
Jerome Flynn, Bronn.
Yes! Like he's running into a brothel.
Hannah Murray, Gilly. And Miltos Yerolemou, Syrio Forel lives.
Yes! Syrio! Okay. Wow.
Wow. I know they needed a footstool for both of us. It's sad.
Too bad no one showed up today. Okay, boy, we have a lot to get through. I'm sure a lot of you out there have questions. We are going to open it up to audience questions for a few minutes at the end, so please stampede to the microphone in organized, respectful fashion. Thank you. We wanted to open. Listen, we're journalists. You know, we have a responsibility to the people, to the public, and there's something that is on everyone's mind, and it's better to just dive right into the tough stuff first. Jerome.
Sorry?
Did Bronn
Hi y'all, how you doing?
contract the pox from Qyburn's poxy whore? Did Bronn get the pox? That's what people need to know. That's the main question exiting season 8.
Did he get the pox?
The
Does
pox?
it look like he got the pox?
Well, I don't know. Master of coin?
He's clear. He's up in his castle being served tea by this guy. That's my fantasy anyway. That's the first time he's heard my fantasy, so we'll see how we get on.
Wow, okay.
Game of Thrones, we like to say this story will never really be over. The community surely will live on as this surely displays. But now that this phase of the experience is over, what is the thing that you will miss the most from the production of Game of Thrones? Anyone?
Nikolaj, we'll start with you.
Well, there's so many things we'll miss. No, you'll miss the people you work with, and that's the very short and that's the answer. That's it. The people you work with, the actors, the crew. It became a very I hated to admit it, but it became quite. You're very tight. Usually, as an actor, you spend years. You go from job to job to job, and early on in your career, you have to learn how to say goodbye and how to say hello and get really intimate very quickly, but then you have to toughen up because it's tough. And I also think that I would hate for this to have been my first job. I can only imagine for the younger actors in the show to have gone through 10 years and then suddenly it's over. It's not easy. So the people.
So now let's hear from some of the people you missed. That was beautiful. Beautiful. Talking about getting intimate, presumably with your sister right away. Lovely. Lovely.
So now that's your mind.
Yes. Yes, it is.
It most surely is.
And now we've all gotten to know each other. Wonderful. What about the rest of you? What's the thing that you're going to miss the most from this entire experience? It can be something about the role you played, something about the fandom, anything.
I'd go along with Nick there. I mean, the three guys I had most to do with, which was Nick, Peter and Dan, and each of them in their own way were just really, really fantastic to spend time with, kind of on and off screen. So that's the best fun I had, along with a lot of other things. The whole job was like a dream, really, to get caught up in something so magical and so successful. But it's nice because in a way it doesn't end. We still get to see each other. And it's opened so many doors, so it doesn't feel in a way like it's come to an end for me.
That's beautiful. He's like our old Nan, you know? The stories they're always there for us. That's lovely. Hannah, what about you?
Yeah, I think kind of similar to these guys, but specifically working with John Bradley.
Yeah.
Who is...
The Grand Maester himself.
Yeah, he's just the most wonderful, intelligent, funny, weird person. He's such a fantastic actor, and we kind of, built this on-screen relationship together over years and years, and getting to collaborate with someone in that kind of long-form way is something I've never gotten to do before, and probably might never get to do again, and it was just a really special experience. So yeah, I miss that collaboration with him, I think, the most.
That's wonderful.
Wonderful.
Miltos?
Very briefly, just as a fan, I think I'm going to miss that hype, the anticipation of the series dropping. I think that's the thing that, the television hole that's left is going to be quite something.
Okay. What heartwarming answers.
It's beautiful.
Wonderful.
That's true, actually. I'm going to miss watching it because I was a huge fan. So
Yeah.
it was a really nice Sunday night to get together with some friends and have a Thrones night. So I will miss that.
Now everybody can go get HBO Max and continue to stream it forever.
There's an angel standing over there.
I know. It's really something. Also, we got a direwolf here in the front row,
Sleeping.
taking a nap. Beautiful.
Hopefully.
Don't take it personally. He's, just resting.
Is that? I love Comic-Cons because you suddenly go, there's an angel. It's a real angel.
What's the best costume that you've seen?
I think the angel so far. I haven't seen all the
God.
costumes.
What an honor!
Amazing.
Incredible.
The harpy from the Great Pyramid, everyone.
What's
Here.
Yes.
What's the thing next to you on the floor? Put it on, please.
Commit to the bit. Come on.
Yes.
There you go.
And a round of applause, please.
Wonderful.
Yay!
Yes. There you go. We knew we would be back in Marine at some point. We couldn't stay away from Marine for long. Nikolaj.
Oh, it's from Game of Thrones.
Yes. It is.
Yes.
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 Just imagine that sliding down the Great Pyramid of Marine.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I gotta watch that show.
It's a good show. It's a good show, streaming now on HBO Go and now.
Yeah. That's what Dario is still sitting around looking at somewhere in the Bay of Dragons. So let's talk about one of the parts of the show you have seen. Your own character arc, your own story. Obviously, Jaime's character arc, Jaime's development is and has been one of the most lively discussion points throughout the entire run of the show. It's something that people are very invested in and love to talk about. That certainly did not change in season 8. And so, based on where Jaime wound up and how he got there, where did you land on it? Did Jaime actually change?
No, we all change. Life change, time, we all change. But I think at the core, he's the things I do for love, he said. And he was bound to his sister, Cersei, almost from the
womb.
From the womb. But also, he fell in love with the wrong woman, or the woman he really shouldn't fall in love with. And it became an obsession, and it became an addiction, and he couldn't break out of that. And I think we all know, some people might in this room been in a situation like that, but we certainly know people where you go, you should not be together, but then they stay together. And you should never judge. And at the end of the day, I think he ended up dying, as he said to Bronn in season, I don't know, some season.
5. Down in Dorne.
Where he said,
Over a nice
I'm gonna die in
fire-roasted snake.
the arms of the woman I love. And he did. Would it be, obviously you would think it would be much better for him if he just hung out with Brienne for a while, but...
Do you, yeah, so following
But
up on
I mean,
that.
the funny thing is but would that really have been like truth when it comes to the character and all that? Yes, it would have been. Okay, we'll just have a happy ending for God's
You
sake.
Do you think
romantics,
it's that he loved Brienne but didn't feel
No,
like
I think he did
deserved
love
that
her.
kind of love?
I think I did. I mean, I have to say, and this is pathetic, but I was very moved by the final scene with Brienne when she's filling out the blanks of the King's Guard. That I thought was very moving.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Also a great meme on the internet.
Yeah, I know. Gwendolyn sent me that. She sent me all of them.
A lot of edits to her original version of the text out there on the internet.
Jerome, congratulations on Bronn's rising to Master of Coin. How long until Bronn bankrupts the realm, essentially?
How many hours?
Does he have the acumen for this job?
You seem to have some preconceptions about how Bronn's going to do.
What could have led to those preconceptions, I wonder?
I think it's a very good appointment. He's been very successful so far, hasn't he?
Well, I can't argue with that.
He got his castle. Got his fucking castle, mate.
But did he get his
Because
throne?
a Lannister always pays his debts, right?
Only after he stuck a crossbow in your face.
Does he get the girl,
Trust
though? He
issue.
gets the big house.
Yeah, it was a two-pronged promise,
Right,
right?
but
You're going to get the castle, you're going to get the girl.
Sorry?
Does the girl ever arrive? So Bronn was promised the castle and also the wife. Do we get the wife? Does Bronn get the wife?
I think he's got enough around him to get the wife.
But didn't you hear the last scene? He was already asking about money for a brothel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't rule out the wife.
Yeah, that's what led to the first
so
question about
old-fashioned.
how long until he beggars the realm. So, Hannah,
Yes.
Sam and Gilly, obviously a relationship that many people are deeply invested in. And we get to spend that moment in the small council with Sam. We see that he took the accelerated Cliff's Notes version of Maester training and somehow went from scrubbing shit out of a pan to Grand Maester in the span of mere moments. What's Gilly up to? Is Gilly continuing to teach people to read in Shireen's name? Is Gilly out there serving soup to prepare people for battle? What is Gilly doing? What is Gilly's passion?
I think she's probably having a well-earned break.
R&R.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps complaining justifiably that Sam does not credit her with discovering the wedding and annulment
Yes!
of Rhaegar Targaryen.
Prince Rhaegar.
Yeah, she may also be putting the word out about her role in that very important discovery.
The greatest truth in the realm, and Sam's out there like, Breanna and I solved it. What about Gilly?
Miltos, I think the afterlife of Syrio Forel, if it can be called that, is perhaps one of the prime examples of the vibrancy of this fandom. What do you think? There are a lot of Syrio Forel is still alive theories, and we've got an inherent, right?
Yes! Show me a body.
What do you think? Is Syrio alive?
He's not alive. He's not alive. I can tell you this now, but I remember Pat, George R.R. Martin's wife, saying to me, "I will never forgive George for killing you off." And I mean, that's all you need to know. Those two knew that from the very beginning. But I think it's very interesting that Dave and Dan wrote that scene, the God of Death scene in season 1. It doesn't exist in the books. And I'm sure a lot of you know the books inside and out. Syrio in the books never refers to that cult at all. He's just the bodyguard. And the fact that they put that scene in, it felt like Dave and Dan were trolling all of you. Because it kind of suggests that maybe he has got something to do with Jack and Hagar and the Faceless Men. But I just think that kind of just teased it out. But yeah, he was dead. He was very, very dead from the very beginning.
I'm devastated. I still refuse to accept it. But was there some, I am curious though, was there something to, even though obviously you had clarity that until this very moment in time we did not possess, was there something to the fact that it was such a popular, lively theory that allowed you to say like, all right, maybe I'm gonna get back in there one day, maybe they are gonna bring me back? How did that change your relationship to the show?
It made me enjoy it more. I mean, I always enjoy things that I'm not in much more than, I watch most of, my stuff like this, but it allowed me to invest in it and enjoy Aria's story, of course, as well. But I think it was always one of those brilliant narrative devices. Like, George knew exactly what he was doing by leaving it open-ended. Because in the books, Aria goes through the mantras all the time. They exist in her head all the time. And if she'd seen the death of Syrio, it would have closed something off. But the fact that it was kind of left ambiguous meant that the echo kind of existed in her head. So it kind of kept it alive. And I think it was deliberately ambiguous for that reason. It's like being a Force ghost in Star Wars, isn't it? You're kind of dead, but you're kind of still around. It's kind of...
So you're our Yoda? You're our Obi-Wan?
Yeah.
Incredible. What a flex.
This is a show that's known for its really interesting pairings. One thinks of Cooper and Darnell as one of the fantastic pairings for the group. Do you have any favorite duos from Game of Thrones? What are Cooper and Darnell up to now? What are they up to?
That's you guys.
Was that?
Yeah.
Oh, duos. I really like the
Alias.
Hound and the Aria together. I thought they were awesome. But it's full of delicious duos. It's full of them.
Any other favorites? Any pairing that you wish we had gotten to spend more time with?
Sansa and Tyrion.
Oh.
She could keep dunking on him?
I really enjoyed being in the crypt and being kind of close to the stuff with those two, and I just thought it was a really wonderful dynamic that could have been explored a lot more,
Did you feel closer to their tension or to all the dead bodies that you knew were going to rise from the crypt and attack you all?
I thought it was a brilliant plan the whole time.
No safer place.
Yeah.
Nikolaj, you've spoken about the nature of the changing pace of the show in the latter seasons, and how, as an actor, that changed the way that you had to sort of populate some of the knowledge in your mind, fill in some of the gaps and the details that would have been there on the page before and weren't. And I think a lot of people found that really insightful, and it got us thinking. We were curious, like, what else do you wish that we as viewers, who obviously do not have access to that direct experience, could understand about what it was like to make this show, especially at the end?
I mean, there was some, I noticed, discussion online about the final season.
A little bit, not much.
But the thing is, we've had this every season. There's been things happening where people got really upset and were never going to watch the show again, and then the ratings went up. And I get it. The thing I said was that after season 3, I had this. Up until season 3, I knew what was going to happen, and then suddenly I didn't know, and it was driving me crazy because I imagined between seasons what would happen for Jaime and for the others. And then the scripts would arrive, and it was nothing like I imagined. And I would go into 2 weeks of really being upset and annoyed with the writers because they didn't understand what I had to go through to make it work. And then I realized there is no alternative version of this script. There's only this script that they wrote. And once I allowed myself to accept that, it really made sense. But yes, there's how many characters in this show? Hundreds, right? So you have, for every character, maybe in one episode, 3-4 scenes, and we have to move along. You can't just, I understand it goes too fast, and they have to move. So you just have to connect the dots yourself. What was the question?
Is there anything else like that? That insight that you...
No, I mean, I think there was we're talking about all the discussion about the ending, and it was too fast, right? Is that what we're talking about, without talking about it?
I think we're talking about, you know, the pacing at the end and the criticism that led to, and
But I think
what you wish people understood about the process that leads to that eventuality.
Okay, well, since we're talking about it, there's a couple of things.
Just friends here.
Well, I think that to be engaged in something like, I mean, we're so lucky to be part of a show where people are love the show so much that they care so much about it, that you also get upset when it doesn't go the way you want it to. The only thing I'd say is that, and that's fantastic, and I love it, and I love that there was an online petition to have it rewritten. I love even more the other, did you hear about the petition for Stranger Things? That they had, there was a petition for, no, it wasn't Great Stranger Things, it was the other one.
Good Omens.
Yes, that they want Netflix to cancel, and Netflix was like, sure, we'll cancel it because it's an Amazon show. But I love that whole thing. The only thing I'll say is that for anyone to imagine or to think that the two creators of the show are not the most passionate, the greatest, the most invested of all, and to for a second think that they didn't spend the last 10 years thinking about how they were going to end it is kind of silly. And also know that they too read the comments, and it's even though you sit on your own and go, fucking stupid writers, assholes. They really, like everyone on Game of Thrones, every single person, and there are thousands, we worked our asses off to make the best show we could for the ending.
And it is, I mean, the results speak for themselves. What, in that process for all of you, what was your favorite thing that you got to film? Your favorite thing you got to do in Game of Thrones?
Oh, God.
I'll start this. I got to do something that, as a human being, I can't do in real life, really. Even though I do sword workshops at this convention. But I got to learn a skill. I got to work with an amazing fight choreographer called William Hobbs, who unfortunately died last year, which really broke my heart because he was a legend. And if you don't know who he is, you should Google his name because he's really done some amazing work. And he was my mentor. He was the guy who cooked up the vocabulary of everything I did. And just learning that skill for me was a life-changing experience, and I really enjoyed that the most.
Hannah?
I think my favorite moment was probably Gilly's makeover scene.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just because it felt like such a long time coming to get to have a new costume.
Yeah.
And,
The Hornhill glow up.
sorry?
The Hornhill glow up.
Yeah, exactly. And even though it wasn't quite like this sort of glorious thing it was supposed to be, it was still so much fun to do. And the fact that we were in Spain for the first time in me and John's time on the show, and it was just it just felt like a holiday filming those scenes.
Did you, I mean, is there ever that kind of like ribbing amongst the cast members? Like you spent most of the series like in sackcloth in snow, while some of the other cast members are like, oh, this beautiful sunshine here in King's Landing. What was that like, watching other people get to like be in warm weather while you're in like the freezing tundra all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I feel like there was a certain amount of like rubbing it in our faces. I remember a video of Gwen and Finn like diving off a boat into this like crystal clear blue ocean, and just while we were in Belfast being rained on, and it was like, that's really great. We really need to know that you guys are having such a good time right now. Yeah, it was, we dealt with it.
What about Cooper and Darnell here? What was your favorite thing that you ever got to film?
There was a few, but I think the month we had shooting the loot train scene in the Spanish, we were in this beautiful kind of mid-Spain national park. I got to hang out with Nico. We hadn't had that much time together, but the setting was amazing. But having that time to kind of enter into that battle and with all that expertise around us, and then when the camera rolled, after all that work had been done, to be able to kind of, it was like a boy's dream, you know, to dive into that battle. And yeah, we had a lot of fun, and to end up, I don't know why I saved his life in the end. Well, no, I do. But no, I think that's probably in a prolonged way. There are lots of magical moments, but I think that was my favorite time.
That was fantastic in Spain. It was. But there's so, I mean, the thing about this show is that there's so many.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a scene with a bear.
Oh, yeah.
True.
Who could forget?
That's a pretty cool thing. So speaking of complaining, who was the biggest complaint about his costume or her costume? Do you have anyone you bring to mind?
John.
Snow, right?
No, oh yeah, but
Yeah. It's so fucking heavy. So heavy.
Yeah.
Just feel it. Just feel it. Yeah. Wow. That's a heavy costume.
I think part of that was the plot armor was very heavy as well.
As was the weight of every short joke in every episode in season 8. Any other favorites? Any other favorite memories? Favorite things you got to film?
Well, I don't know how many people were here yesterday. Were there a lot of people here yesterday?
We got some.
Oh, well, I can't tell that story then.
Oh my God! Oh no! Devastating.
No, it's when I spontaneously got to grab Podrick's balls.
Oh.
And for the look on his face, it wasn't for...
Spontaneously.
Yes.
Yeah, it's worth it. You can find that on YouTube. And he's in the tent with Brienne, and I'm teaching Podrick a few moves. And yeah, I decided to grab his balls, and he had no idea that was coming. And that's the shot they used, and it's worth looking up just for the look on his face, because he's like...
Did it lead to any clarity about what his prowess in the brothel is?
Wow.
Any
Is it
insight you
real?
can share with the room?
Yeah.
No, still.
I just needed to find out for myself.
Yeah. Pivoting off that, Jerome, you had a previous career as a musician. How much of that...
Musician, did you say?
How much of that life as a musician, that kind of performer, informed your performance of Bronn and theatricality of that character?
My short pop career didn't really... I was an actor before, so it didn't really inform it, I'd have to say. It was, in fact, because it was quite funny because I wasn't considered for going out and doing those 2 years singing these old songs. We weren't considered very cool to be doing that. And I remember, and then I had a long time off work, and I remember when I got Bronn, because it was very popular over, the books were very popular over here, and I knew nothing about blogs, somebody sent me a link, and all the fans of the books were tracking the casting and they were taking these guesses at who was going to be Bronn. And then the English people who knew me from the pop career, when I was cast as Bronn, like one guy literally said, "This is the worst day of my life." I was like, come on, that's really rough. Because, yeah, I guess I wasn't such a badass in those days, but anyway, hopefully he doesn't think that now.
Well, Bronn out there as a musician, just one of the many things that we can all allow ourselves to think about and dream about now. For all of you, if you had the power right now to green light any spin-off, it can involve your character, living or dead. It can involve anything you want, prequel, sequel, anything. What spin-off would you want to see?
Well, I have to include him not dying and Daenerys not dying, because I got just a little fantasy of me and Daenerys in the castle.
Oh, hello.
And for some reason, him serving us tea. I don't know. How's that feel for you? Would you take that job?
Yes. What am I wearing?
Don't ask me.
More of an alt history, maybe. But hey, listen, who knows where Drogon flew Dany's body? Maybe she's out there with the Red Priestess, just waiting for a resurrection. You have your castle. Maybe you'll get your girl in the end. Who knows? Any other?
I just had something just came to me just now. The idea of seeing a prequel which is all about the faceless men in Bravos.
Yeah.
It'll be like a kind of medieval Mission Impossible with all the face swapping. I think that I'd quite like. I'd also like to know what the fuck they were doing with the faces and where they came from. I'd quite like to know what that was all about.
Nikolaj, Jerome, you're both very active in advocating for causes that are close to your heart. Can you talk about some of the things that you use your platform to amplify the message of?
Yes. Well, I'm a goodwill ambassador for the UNDP, which is the biggest aid agency in the world. And they do amazing work. So for me, this is basically, I have, as you say, it sounds so, a platform. But there's a spotlight that I can use, and I can then direct it onto the people, because there are so many people working for these agencies that are doing, amazing work for all of us. And they don't get the attention they should, and sometimes not the funding that they need. So I just do whatever they ask me to do to help that. Because we have some issues globally that we need to work on. Yeah.
Jerome?
Oh God, there's a lot. These are. We're facing quite a lot of crises at the moment. So there are many causes, but there's obviously one of the most major crises we're facing is what's happening to our climate and our environment, and that goes hand in hand. But there's a big link between how we treat our beloved animals and what we're doing to the climate, and it's a crime that our governance and our leaders are allowing and still encouraging us to imprison and encage animals and not allow them to kind of feel the earth under their feet and to breathe the air, and at the same time it's over half of the land of the planet, I believe, is being used for animal agriculture, and we need to turn that around, because if we don't, our children aren't going to have a planet to live on, and that's just the facts we're being given by the people who we're paid to be expertise in this area. So that's something I'm very passionate about. But
we are going to open it up to the audience. While people are walking to line up in orderly fashion to the microphone, we'll ask you one more question while everyone's making their way. What is, in your mind, for you personally, each of you, the legacy of Game of Thrones? It can be your role in it, the show as a whole, the fandom, anything.
legacy of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I love the fact that it reinvigorated television watching at a time when everyone stopped tuning in on at a certain time, everyone was streaming everything. The idea that people gathering, having kind of parties, housefuls of people, watching a show immediately when it was being screened, because no one wanted to get spoiled. Everyone wanted to know what was going to happen the next. That anticipation and that communal experience, I think, was amazing. I think it was really amazing.
Awesome. Monoculture.
Yeah.
I think that I remember telling friends about I got this show on HBO, and they're like, "That's so cool, HBO." And then they said, "What's it about? Is it like gangsters?" Or I said, "No, it's this parallel universe with dragons." And they were like, "Oh shit." I I think the fact that a fantasy show could become the most, the biggest Emmy winner of all time is a pretty big thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's related. I think the fact that George said this, he didn't realize this when he was writing it, but I think the metaphor and the allegory in there, that because it's very much about our human condition and our past and our present, and the fact that we're all kind of fighting our corner to try and get some power and make it to the top, and the fact that what became the most popular program on the planet, that all those characters have to come together and lay down their arms to actually save their future and their children's future and the planet's future. And the fact that this happened now at this time, I think that's probably a very important thing to happen. And it's happened on a deep subconscious level that I think that was coming through George when he wrote it. I have that feeling.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of thinking about what it's done for Northern Ireland and the filmmaking industry there, and kind of bringing this huge juggernaut show and all the kind of expertise that was required to make that, centering that in Belfast and having the studios there, which I think are now being used for kind of all other kinds of productions now that we've moved on, and what it's done for the tourism industry there, and I think it's just been so wonderful for that part of the world and the way we kind of showcase the landscapes of that part of the country. And I just think it's that city was our home. Felt like it was a second home for all of us. And I think we have such fond memories of being there. And I think that, for me, that's a really significant legacy that we'll have, is what it's done for Belfast and the surrounding area.
Awesome. Wow.
Answers.
Amazing answers. Thank you. Okay. First up, you wanna?
Hello. Yes, it is. My question is for Miltos. I think one of my favorite moments in the entire series was just seeing Aria kill the Night King. Did you know that was coming for her character? Because I think she was able to do that largely in part because of her training with Syrio. And did you get to speak to Maisie after the fact regarding her character's fate and just what she had accomplished?
I didn't get to speak to Maisie about it. I would have loved to, but I didn't know it was coming at all. And it was thrilling. It was really thrilling. So yeah, and there was a little bit of me that kind of felt like a proud dad. I have to admit that, it's true. I even cried a little. But I'm just terribly sentimental, that was the reason. But yeah, it was a pretty spectacular moment.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, thanks for coming. If you hadn't done the character that you did, what other character role would you have auditioned for? To each of you.
Nice.
I've been asked this question a few times, and I find it really tricky just because I associate those characters, all of them, so much with the people that play them, and I think they're just done so wonderfully. So it's a slightly boring answer, but I find it hard to imagine myself into any of those other roles, because I feel like they've just been cast so perfectly and performed so perfectly by everyone.
Are there any characters from the books that weren't actual actors that you might have auditioned for?
Didn't read the books.
Here's the cheat. Just say young Griff. Whenever anyone asks you that question, you'll be fine. Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, guys. First of all, I just want to say this show has meant so much to me, and I loved it from top to bottom, and season 8, I freaking loved it. So thank you for all the work that you guys put into it. And I just also want to say that probably all of you, your characters, I imagined differently in my head when I first read the books, but now when I go back, I can't picture anybody else. You guys just so perfectly encapsulated them, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
And I just wanted to ask Nikolaj, something I know a lot of people don't talk about the last episode very much, so I thought I'd mix it up. But with the whole Jon Snow and Daenerys final confrontation, what I found most affecting about that is the way it kind of mirrors back on your character. And because I don't think we'd ever expect that Jon Snow, the honorable son of Ned Stark, would be the one to become the Queenslayer. But it really puts your character in a, you know, even more of a different light than we might have thought previously. I wondered if, when you read the script, if you thought about that and...
Well, everyone was expecting Jaime. A lot of people had this theory that Jaime was going to kill Cersei, and that was going to be the, what was the prophecy?
Valonqar.
Yeah. That one. I thought it was great. I mean, what I loved about that whole thing was that even though you hated Cersei, I think unless you have a heart of stone, at her last moments, you would still feel empathy for her. You would still like, it was just, you know, she was going to lose, she was going to die, but she also was carrying a baby, and you know, the fear of that moment. And also, even though you loved Daenerys for 7-8 seasons, you named your daughter Daenerys because she was going to be a hero. Even then, you could see, if you allowed yourself to see it, that she was going a little crazy, and that was probably not a surprise if you followed the show, because she had anger issues. But it made sense that Jon Snow would do what he did, because he was, as you say, an honorable man. And in that sense, there is, I also think Jaime is a very honorable man. And I think there is that thing about doing for the greater good, even though you're breaking every vow that you have made. And, you know, Jon had bent the knee. This was his queen. You're not supposed to kill your queen. But he saved the world. So, yes, I agree with you 100%.
And I just want to say good luck at the Emmy nominations next week.
Next. Hey.
Eddie the Broken here. Big ups to Binge Mode for making work life so enjoyable.
Thank you.
But this is a two-part question. Why does everyone keep assuming Bran can't have kids? And two, do you think Mira Reed is really mad is because her and Bran had sex and she's probably pregnant and she went away?
Whoa, okay.
Wow.
You lost me there.
So the first part of the question, I don't know, why wouldn't he be able to have sex? Is that, I didn't even know that was a thing.
There is, I'll interject for 30 seconds. There's a line in the book where Ned is reflecting on what he thinks has happened. And it's not definitive, like we don't know if he actually knows or if he is just presuming. But Ned reflects on the despair that he feels thinking about the fact that Bran will not be able to have children. So there's one line in the book that people have considered.
Does Tyrion say that in the show as well?
Sansa just out there at the dragon pit.
Putting him on blast in front of the gathered lords of the realm.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
So that I think is where a lot of people have gotten that information. Whether Bran and Mira had a torrid love affair, and that is what led to their very frosty farewell. I think Bran just forgot to say thank you, and Mira was like, "Dude, I did a lot."
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, anyone?
You know the show better than we do.
Thanks.
Thank you, Eddie. Next.
Hi, my name's Shanley, and I have a question for all of you. I was just wondering, when you look back at your time on Thrones, and what moment, either that we saw on screen or that happened behind the scenes, or that got cut, will you most associate with your happiest time on the show? What was your happiness there?
Quite a few. There weren't that many unhappy times. I'm not just making that up, but it's it really was a lot of fun. I think if I had to pick one, we were in season 2, 3 in Dubrovnik. We had a weekend off, and we all got a boat and was just sailing out and had fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
I thought you were there.
Any other comments? Thanks,
Amazing.
Hello, Chris Johnson from the Normies here. Love Skins, love Black Mirror, Black Hawk Down. My question is, how would you have felt about the show if it would have ended with the Night King winning as a great allegory for climate change and us kind of like learning a lesson that if we don't all fight what we're supposed to fight, the Night King will just take over and death will win? It would have been a downer, but how would you have felt about it?
It would have felt authentic, especially in the world we're living in right now. That's pretty grim, but it's quite. That's a powerful ending.
Yeah, it's true, but I felt that actually to witness them coming together and succeeding and overcoming was kind of on a psychological level quite important. So, yeah, I think it works both ways.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Next.
Hello. So I just want to thank all of you all for portraying your characters so beautifully and bringing the greatest story ever told to life, and you all did so wonderful. So thank you for being here for us. My question is for Jerome and Nikolaj. So when you all were first starting to train Jaime after he first lost his two good hands, when you, Bronn, had hit Jaime with his fake hand, was there ever a time where it was real? Did you ever accidentally hit him?
Not with the hand, but...
No?
Oh, yeah. That was another one of my favorite moments.
Yes, me. Ours too. It was fun.
No, you practice a lot when you do these things because we're using real metal swords, so you can hurt each other. So it's like a dance. So I go there, you go like that.
Instinctively.
So we really spent a lot of time on this. And then when we were shooting, he decided to improvise.
How Bronn of him.
So he smacked me on the head.
Love it.
The sword did come down on his head, but his head's so tough, you know.
Understandable. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Next.
Hey y'all, my name is Heath. You're all legends. Thank you so much for coming to Nashville to visit us. My question is specifically for Jerome and Nikolaj. I know Sam's character at the end of one of the sessions was saying there was a crew member who was making sure he wasn't going to get run over by a tram that was filming him, and that was his nervous scene. Did you guys ever have any scenes where you were just horse riding, or maybe the set where you felt a little bit nervous of the environment around you?
Well, after I hit him on the head, he was just continually nervous of me, I think.
No. I think that there's a scene in that episode where we're in these sand dunes and there's a little fire, and we had to eat this thing that they made. And because he's a vegan, I don't know if you guessed that already. They had to make this fake snake meat, which was so disgusting. I mean, it was, do you remember that?
I think it was our first scene together, wasn't it?
It was a beautiful scene. So that put the fear of God in me. Yeah. But no. I mean, the thing with when you do stunts and when you work with the horses, and the guys the horse wrangler, they're so good. And I just have complete faith in them. And I think you have to, because if you're really afraid of horses or fighting, then you shouldn't do it.
Right. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
For Nikolaj and Jerome, what was your favorite kill scene to film? And for Hannah, how does it feel to not get any credit for the biggest discovery in Westeros history?
Favorite kill scene? I think, it was the, I don't know how many, if Bronn actually killed it, but I think it was the loot train scene for me.
Okay.
It was just a wonderful month.
The guy with the crossbow?
Yeah, the guy with the crossbow. What guy was that? I killed a guy with a crossbow?
Yeah, the Dothraki soldier with big crossbow before you aim it at
Yeah,
Drogon.
that's the one. You got it. I was holding that. That was my favorite kill.
My favorite was well, actually was the one, I love the scene in season River Run, when I didn't kill anyone. The scene with Edmund Tully, when I tell him that I'm gonna do a lot of horrible things if he doesn't go my way, and in that way avoided killing anyone. I thought that was a fantastic scene. I mean, written, beautifully written.
Yeah. Wonderful.
That sounded. What was the second part?
Oh yeah, and it feels really, really annoying. Yeah. And also, John Bradley is so not on my side with this. He gives Gilly even less credit than Sam does. He's like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
We all know the truth, so.
We do. That's right. Thank you. Next.
I'm a little shorter. First off, it's an honor to be here, and I think I speak for everybody in this room when I say that Game of Thrones has taught us so much about ourselves and given us so much area for introspection. My curiosity is, what is something that you as individuals, not your characters or as actors, but like you as human beings, have taken from the show and will carry with you for the rest of your life? Like a real life lesson that you have learned from Game of Thrones? Because I know we've all gathered something special from the show over the last almost decade. So there's got to be something that you guys have taken something that you will carry with you forever.
I mean, there's nothing. I'm carrying gratitude, that's all. There's nothing specifically that I'm thinking, oh, I learned that. There were so many gifts, just rolling year after year gifts to be involved in that show. So that's what I'm carrying with me, is the gratitude for everything that's brought.
Yes, I agree. I'm just thinking, I was just thinking about, because of all the online anger. And of course, it's always, I mean, and we all know that it's just a few that gets very angry, and it'll sound like a lot when you are on the receiving end. And I just wish that Dan and David could be here and to hear this. I mean, to understand that people really love the show, that suddenly they're not the most hated people in the world. I mean, because that's how they might, I know how they feel. And because so I think for me, I mean, to be on a show where you get to come here and you meet you guys and to be part of a story that really touched people is such a privilege. And you know, that's why we start doing what we do. We want to tell stories, and then hopefully you want to find an audience. That's kind of the perfect world, right? And this has just been, yeah, so gratitude. I agree.
Thank you.
Can't top that. That's true. It's true.
We have time for just one or two more quick ones.
All right.
Sorry.
I'll be as quick as possible.
Bobby B, quick one.
First of all, before I get to my question, there's obviously a lot of talent on this stage right now, but there's only one Emmy winner, and that's Jason. So congratulations for that.
We appreciate it.
What? A look from my guy.
Earlier, you guys all talked about how wonderful it is to work with so many people for so many years on this. But this is specifically for Hannah. How did your experience with Skins prepare you for that? Because obviously you still have a lot of close friendships from that. Or was it different because you were a teen then?
It was different because Skins was my first job ever. So that was like such a kind of being thrown in at the deep end and like figuring out the fact that they said action. But it definitely, I mean, it prepared me, I think, I think in a lot of ways it prepared me for my entire career and then specifically for Game of Thrones. And then it also it meant I had a friend in Belfast when I first arrived, and I think one of the first things I did was go for a drink with Joe Dempsey when I arrived in Belfast. So that was like a very nice thing, that there was this kind of thread connecting the two jobs, and that I knew I wasn't going to be alone, and I could talk to him about like what are the rest of the cast like, what are the crew like. That they just made it feel very like comfortable and great. And then the fact that that's gone through, you know, that we got to do the final season together as well, it just is very, very special. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, last question. Sorry to everyone else. I know we're a few minutes over. I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Amy. My question's for Nikolaj. Is that how you say it? My question, after the Battle of Winterfell, Aria, the Hound, and Jaime all headed to King's Landing. And in my imagination, there's a deleted scene in which they meet up, and one night at the fire they share heart-to-hearts. And so I was wondering what Jaime said.
What I said in your imaginary scene.
Yes.
Incredible. Let's workshop it together.
Well,
Got
yeah,
this.
let's. Why don't you give me a line first and I'll reply? So you be Aria.
Amazing. This is amazing.
So Aria turns to Jaime and she says,
Why are you going back to Cersei?
listen, kid. Just take my face and you do whatever you have to do.
There you go.
I don't know. It's a great scene, but no, I imagined that, Aria was gonna kill Jaime and take his face and kill Cersei, and but it's so nice that we don't get what we expect, isn't it?
Fitting end note. Okay, thank you again so much to everyone. Thank you to Nikolaj, Jerome, Hannah, Miltos. Thank you, Game of Thrones.
Well done.